welcome back to my channel. My name is Bimbo. I'm a Nigerian trained pharmacist and a UK care assistant, and in this video I want to share why you should move to Northern Ireland. Basically, I'm going to be sharing like the pros and cons. I haven't lived in England for 1 year, and then I moved to Northern Ireland since April this year. I think I'm in a better position to compare the two places. So Northern Ireland is also part of the United Kingdom. As we all know, the United Kingdom is made up of England, Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. So when I moved from Nigeria, I moved to England. Fortunately, I lived in the northern part of England. I lived in northeast England. And then shortly after a year, we moved down to Northern Ireland. You see, northern and northern. So I think if I am to compare anything, it's a fair basis for comparison because it's both Northern England and Northern Ireland. So sit back, relax, and get your popcorn, get your squash, just get whatever you want to get and enjoy this video. If it is your first time coming across my channel, please do well to like, share, and consider subscribing to this channel because I share anything related to healthcare in the UK, as that is my current profession here. I also share any opportunities for overseas trained pharmacists here on my channel. First point I want to make is religion. Talking about religion in England, I saw, even though I stayed in a place that is a bit big, like a town, and here in Northern Ireland, I'm living in a village, I lived in a town and I could see less churches, less religious centers than here in Northern Ireland. I live in a village here in Northern Ireland, but I see more religious centers, more churches, more scriptural signages everywhere here. You'll see Jesus is the only way, believe in Jesus. You see all sort of religious, inscriptions almost everywhere. And on Sundays in England, you see less people going to church, but here you see old and young people going to church here. And for my kids, they get invitations for religious activities almost every time from school. Like, see this one now, this is about church, congregational church, this is about Bible study. So today now we're starting another Bible study because they just resumed last week. Bible study, you see, Bible meeting, invite for Bible youth service, stuff like that, which is a good one for me personally. If you like religious activities, if you are, a strong believer of Jesus Christ and you want that kind of environment for your kids or for your, for you as an adult, you want to be more involved in church activities, then Northern Ireland might be the best option for you. So that takes me to the educational system. Talking about schools for primary schools, because my kids are in primary, I think there are less people in the class, and the educational system here is better than in England in some sense, for the fact that my kids get like real homeworks from school. Back in England, they usually give them storybooks. They can give my daughter one storybook throughout the whole week. In fact, it got to a time that I had to speak up. I went to meet her class teacher to ask, why do they always give them the same storybook for a week? And even if she doesn't read it, nobody cares. Why don't they get like arithmetics, other subjects as homework? And the teacher said that in the past they used to do that, but they realized that the parents were not doing those homeworks. So there was no reason, there was no need for them to keep sending homeworks that the kids do not do. So here, moving to Northern Ireland, my daughter has been getting mathematics homeworks, more of, they would draw clock. How they taught us in Nigeria that they would draw wall clock and say longer hand, shorter and tell the time. And I'm really impressed. And they've had opportunities to paint and enter into competitions where they can win like £50. I think they are encouraged to bring out the best in them. However, talking about education again, in England, my daughter used to go to school. She was in like year 1 and she used to go to this school from The school opens 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. up until 6 p.m. because the breakfast club was sponsored by Greg's. The after school club was sponsored by Greg's. So in other words, my daughter could attend school from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. free of charge. And as parents, I had time. I didn't have to rush to pick them from school. But moving here, I realized that for our class, she's like a year ahead. The education system is a bit different. Your kids are a year ahead in school when they move from England to Northern Ireland. So my daughter that was in year 1 got into year 2 here. And even though she's in year 2 here, she finishes 2 p.m. And most of the schools around, they finish 2 p.m. And I'm like, they resume 8:55 or up until 9 a.m. and close 2 p.m. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I just think, oh, she's not spending enough time in school. However, it's not about how long, but how well. I think the quality of education they're giving them here is a little different, and I like it for them here. This one is not really something that I like, but as parents, you might like it. Okay, let me just talk about the pros first. I'll just mention a few cons, a few things that I do not like about Northern Ireland. So another thing that I want to talk about that I like about Northern Ireland is the fact that as a healthcare assistant in England, you don't get agency shift as much. If you join an agency to get a shift is a struggle. I don't know if anything has changed, but that when I was in England, it was tough to get agency shift, and so many people are doing like full-time, many people are doing bank jobs. But coming here, hey, agencies are so many, and I even learned that they bring some people from London. They will fund their relocation to Northern Ireland. They will get them a house, although they'll be deducting from their money or just allow them to pay their rents. They will get them a house, and then they will start picking agency shifts. Meanwhile, this agency shift, at least they pay better than working full time. So I realized that in this place, you can, if you have care experience, you can easily join an agency, and then you pick as many shifts as you think you're even doing a full-time job. You can pick 6 shifts in a week if you want. You will get it. So that's one other good thing that I've realized living in Northern Ireland. The biggest expense, like a monthly expense in the UK, is rent. It takes like the chunk of your income. So coming to Northern Ireland, before we even came here, people had already told us that rent, and I already watched YouTube videos, made my research to find out that rents are a bit cheaper here in Northern Ireland. But what people failed to mention is that when you move to the villages, it's not as cheap as you think. Yeah, houses, rent are not as cheap as people made it to look like. They portray Northern Ireland as, oh, you will just come and probably you can get a £200 3-bedroom flat. It's not that cheap. I can tell you, it depends on the area you live in England. I lived up north, and I can categorically tell you that the rent that we were paying in England compared to this place is cheaper. Okay, for a 3-bedroom flat, we started off with £575 monthly. For in fact, like a 4-bedroom flat, because we had like a whole room as a dining, which we converted to our lounge, which was next to the kitchen, and then we converted the main lounge to another bedroom. So I could say that we had 4 bedrooms. And so we paid £575. But when we moved here, this 3-bedroom house that we live in costs £700. So aside the fact that people will say, oh, you don't get to pay council tax, people pay what they call rates here, although the landlords are the ones paying rates. The tenants, the occupant doesn't have to pay rates, but your landlords pay rates. So if you become a landlord in Northern Ireland, you will be paying rates, which is like more or less like your council tax. So for me, I just feel that like it's more or less the same thing overall. If I pay 700 here, I pay 575 in England, and I pay council tax of about 130, 140. So it's more or less like the same thing. The only difference is that the houses here are newer. we're not struggling with molds. Meanwhile, the houses in England are ancient of these houses, like very old houses. So that's mainly the difference. And also, we don't get to pay water bill here. You can use water as you like, and you are not worried about paying water bill here. So that is one good thing I also like, that the houses, not that the houses are cheap, but the houses are modern, they are newer, they are, this one we live in is bigger than the one we were paying 575. Although few of the houses have rugs, like most of the houses that I have seen here do not have carpets. They call rugs carpets. So you know how that can make you feel in winter. It makes the house a bit cooler, you know. Unlike England houses, majority of them have rugs, but here no rugs, and that's just it. I like the fact that the houses are big and we don't have to think about molds growing in winter. Living in the village here in Northern Ireland, I can tell you, you can take this one to the bank. There are more farms than infrastructures here in the village. You won't believe that this place we have does not have a secondary school. So we only have like 2 primary schools, no secondary school. And in the whole of Northern Ireland, I think there are only 2 universities. So if we live here until our kids get to university age, that means they would need to go to Belfast for their university education, or move outside Northern Ireland for their university education. Every corner you turn to here, you would see cows, you would see sheep, you would see horses, you would see all sorts of animals. So there are just animals everywhere. You smell animal dung everywhere. So it is like that here. There are more farms than infrastructures, if you permit me to say that, because here, for the kids, when they were on holiday, they had 2 whole months for holiday, and I was thinking of how to engage them in activities other than, you know, church activities. I realized that there is none. So like England, where we came from, like Ulabalu was just like 1 minute walk from my house. The place where I could enroll them for swimming classes was just like 5 minutes walk from my house. You know, I just had all the infrastructures very close by. Here, if I need to enroll them for swimming classes, we need to be traveling every now and then. If we need to go to a big park, like a moderately nice park, then we need to travel outside this village. So that's it for me. Although I learned that there is the Titanic, but it's in Belfast. Most of these activities, most of these infrastructures are in the city, the Belfast, which is like the London of Northern Ireland. So, and as a result of that, this place is quieter than England. It is cleaner because the population is lower. So this place is really clean. And it is quiet. If you're an introvert, if you don't like to mingle, this place is best for you. Just move to Northern Ireland. For me, I don't know if I like it or not. Sometimes I'm okay, because since we moved outside our own country, I've realized that I have started to enjoy my privacy. I've started to enjoy just being alone. Sometimes I'm just in the house. I don't even want to, you know, speak to anybody. I don't even want to pick calls. I don't know if that's a sign of depression or anything. In England, people just smile at you indiscriminately, randomly. You just find strangers giving you that plastic smile. Yeah, it's not as common. People don't give you even the plastic smile as much as in England. Doesn't mean they are not friendly, but I don't know. On Google, it will tell you that Northern Ireland is safe, which I do not dispute, because I haven't been involved in any insecurity issues. I don't have any insecurity to bother with here. However, they forget to mention that racism is a little bit pronounced here. In recent times, just about 1 week ago, a care worker died. And what was the reason why she died? She had already been attacked by some locals in the past, and she was yet to get over that trauma She was going out probably to work, and then she saw another immigrant being attacked by this same set of locals. She was so scared, and as she tried to run for her life, nobody was actually chasing her. But as a result of the trauma she had from the previous experience, she tried to run away. Meanwhile, this woman is or was an asthmatic patient. She had asthmatic crisis and she couldn't make it. So it is as bad as that is in some places in Northern Ireland. Like, they are not immigrant friendly in some places. That happened in Newry. So we've had cases. I've shared a video of what happened in Antrim as well. In some places like that, they are not immigrant receptive, and you would want to make your research before moving to Northern Ireland to be sure whether they are receptive of immigrants where you're moving to or not. I made a tour of this house that cost £700. You would love to see it. If you haven't seen it yet, please check in my playlist. Also, I don't like to make very long videos, so in another video entirely, I'm going to share all the things I don't like about Northern Ireland. Yes, there are so many things I do not like about Northern Ireland, but it is what it is. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.